Hello and welcome to the United Stands. This is your Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference reaction for Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. Lots to get through from Ole's press conference, but also a very big development in relation to Raphael Varane that's come in post the morning show this morning. We did mention Varane and we mentioned links to Varane, but there is now quite a strong source in Manchester United talking about Raphael Varane to Manchester United. So we'll be talking about that. First of all though, almost by coincidence, and it is coincidence, we are sponsored by the One Football app today, so please download it. Link is in the video description. There was that story about Calhanoglu today that many people were talking about on the morning show on the One Football app. So if you want to download the One Football app, it's free. It's on Apple, Android. Links in the video description. Loads and loads of stories they have on there, and the one about Calhanoglu was on there from Caught Offside as well. But I'm pleased to say One Football are back again to sponsor my United Stand. I use One Football all the time to keep me up to date with all the latest Manchester United and football news. It's an awesome app. If you're looking for live scores, football transfer news and up-to-date content surrounding your favourite clubs and leagues, then this is the app for you. And as an added bonus, One Football is levelling up even more and allowing its users to watch the Dortmund quarter-final match in the DFB Pokal on the 3rd of March. So I was certainly making sure I'm watching that to see how Jadon Sancho gets on. So you can check out Dortmund on the 3rd of March tomorrow on the One Football app. So make sure that you give it a download. What you're heading for, what you're waiting for, links in the video description, and download it for free using that link. Right, let's get on with the show. But yeah, Dortmund tomorrow on the app. And the Calhanoglu story, amongst other transfer news, is on there as well. As you can see, it's demonstrated next to me there. So let's get on with the show. Agent Paul Pogba, people talk about Sancho. They have got their Pepsi advert out. It's interesting, isn't it, about that? I do think that with Pogba and Sancho, imagine if they did come to Manchester United, and I suppose it's where you sit, really. I mean, no United fan's going to say they don't want Pogba and Sancho at United next season. You'd have to be foolish. But I could see a scenario where we did. I actually can't see a scenario where we have them, but I could see a scenario where we had them. They're obviously, they do a lot of adverts and commercials and stuff. They'd still be doing all that. We'd still be in the shadow of Man City, and I think it would turn toxic quite quickly, to be honest. Which is why I think Solskjaer needs to build a team. I've got no problem with Jadon Sancho and Paul Pogba being at this club, but we do need to build a team, and the two priority positions for me are centre-back and centre defensive midfielder, and Sancho and Pogba are neither of those. So we do need to build a team before we start sprinkling the icing of these fantastic footballers, I think, and I think that's where United have gone wrong in the past. And before we get into Ole's press conference, which is just finished with talks about various things like fitness and etc. I just want to bring you this story from the Manchester Evening News about Raphael Varane. Now, we've had a lot of talk about Varane over the last couple of days. I mean, I didn't really talk about it yesterday. I did it on the morning show today because there was a lot of different stories, 70 million, this, that and the other. But this is probably the story that's made me sit up the most and get most excited. Now, I always am pessimistic. The Manchester Evening News ran a story around this time last year about Jack Grealish to Manchester United. And I did get quite excited about it because I think the source is good. I think that the Manchester Evening News, Samuel Luckhurst, who's writing that article, as I said about Andy Mitten this morning, they've definitely got links into the club and they definitely get information from the club, which is why back in the autumn when they said, talking to Pochettino, it was Samuel Luckhurst on that. And I'm very, very confident that he's got good sources in the club. So when he's talking about Grealish last year, I think that's worth taking a note of. And when he's talking about Varane today, it's worth taking note of. Of course, the Grealish deal didn't happen this time last year. Didn't happen in the summer, did it? It never materialised. And I feel that maybe this Varane story is one that's going to get us excited, but won't happen. I even joked on Twitter today that it smells to me like United get linked to Varane in March and sign Tyrone Mings on transfer deadline day in August, because we've seen that time and time again. United's interest in a player is not really the hard bit. We wanted Sancho last summer. We wanted Grealish, but we didn't get them. So the problem is not being interested in a player, it's actually getting them. Ben Goss says Haaland 100 million, Pogba stay, Martial out equals money for centre-back. Ben Goss for Director of Football. But with this story on Varane, which is from the Manchester Evening News, so what they're saying is that Manchester United have always wanted Varane. I think we've always known that interest. I want Varane. He's my number one choice. I don't, unpopular opinion, whatever. I want Varane. I like Koundé. I'd be happy with Koundé, but if I had a choice, I'd go with Varane. Experience, 28, plenty of years left in the tank. It comes into that team and makes it better. I would take Varane. I know Koundé's more exciting. I get that, but I would go with Varane. So this story from Manchester Evening News is saying that Manchester United are interested in Varane, and Real Madrid, more importantly, are pessimistic about keeping Varane at Madrid. The reason being that Varane, the gap between what Varane thinks he's worth and what Real Madrid want to pay is too big, and they're not confident that they're going to get him to stay. Now remember, they're trying to keep Ramos, they're trying to get Alaba, they're trying to rebuild their team as well. Paying big money for 3 different centre-backs or defenders is probably not on their list, but they do want to keep Varane. So look, possession is Real Madrid and Varane at the moment. It probably will get sorted out. But it is interesting that you've now got British press with good connects at United saying that United could well be able to do a deal with this because Madrid are pessimistic. I would like to have him. I mean, KJ Koundé says that Varane has made too many mistakes. I think what you're doing there, mate, is you are comparing a Ferrari that's probably not been running its best race for this season against a mini Metro in Magaluf, and that's the difference. I don't care how many mistakes Varane's made. To say that you wouldn't want Varane because he makes too many mistakes is bloody hilarious, comparable to the centre-backs that we've got at the moment. Varane is on a different planet. If there is any United fan out there that says, "Oh, I wouldn't take Varane, he makes too many mistakes," you're off your rocker. You're off your rocker. He's like on a different level to any centre-back that we've got. He is absolutely in the top 5 centre-backs in the world. He might not be having the best time at Madrid, but he's one of the best in the world, in my opinion. And one season doesn't make him not be the best. So I would take Varane. He'd be my number one choice. I'd be very, very, very happy with him. Whether I'd get him, I don't know. And the big thing for me is, and real Ryan XN has said it there, Varane is tall and fast. He's one of the fastest centre-backs, out of the best centre-backs in the world. He is tall, he is good on the ball. He's got everything Manchester United need. Varane and Kante will be my ideal centre-back and CDM, says Mikel. I'm not so... I don't know whether I'd want to risk Kante, to be honest with you. Mark, don't you think the board pushes these stories to the press just to keep the fans ticking? Of course, United are interested in players, but they're not interested to pay the fee for them. And I think Angie's hit the nail on the head again. Angie, I think you have. I think that I was just about to come to that. In fact, I'd love Varane. I don't expect to get Varane. I think this is going to be another story that's maybe been put out there to make us feel a bit... I mean, this happens so often, and I'm not saying it's coming from the club. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But how often over the last 8 years have we been not really happy, and then a story comes out about Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo, Griezmann, Pogba staying... We're going to sign Varane. We're going to sign Sancho. This happens all the time. And I think most United fans, probably like me, are like, yeah, I would love Varane. I'll believe it when he's holding up the shirt. I expect Tyrone Mings because that's the level of competence we have in relation to our board. But look, if you're asking me if I want Varane, he's my number one choice. If you're asking me if I think we're going to get Varane, no. Are we interested? Yes. We're interested in Haaland. We were interested in Sancho last year. We're interested... But interest doesn't mean you want to pay. And that's always the problem. We're definitely interested. Whether we can do a deal, I don't know. Do you think the story around Pogba staying could be linked to Mino Raiola telling Pogba that Haaland this summer is possible, says Ben Anderson. I want to get into Ollie's press conference comments, but can I just say about Paul Pogba this? I didn't say it this morning, so I'll say it now. If Mino Raiola says 2 months ago that there's no way Paul Pogba's signing a new contract at Manchester United, and he signs a new contract in the summer, what's changed? I think there's 2 things. One, they can't get the money anywhere else, so they're going to take the money from us, which isn't really... I don't really like that, but that could be a choice. 2, Manchester United have told him they're buying 2 or 3 quality players in the summer to build the team and make it better. I think it can only be one of those 2 options. He can't get the money anywhere else, so they're going to take it from United. 2, he's been told we're buying 2 or 3 quality players. Well, we ain't buying 2 or 3 quality players, are we? So, I mean, unless something amazing happens, but we're not. Because United have already put it out there that they haven't got loads of money to spend and they're going to have to sell to buy. So I don't think... I've seen a lot of theories around in the last few hours about Pogba's doing an advert with Sancho. Well, that advert with Sancho will have been filmed weeks ago. Weeks ago, that's been planned. It's got nothing to do with him signing a new contract. The reality is, Paul Pogba will not have been told that we're signing 2 or 3 quality players, because we're not going to sign 2 or 3 top quality players. So if Pogba's staying, I would question why his agent 2 months ago said he's not going to sign a new contract at this club, forget about it, and now he potentially is. I think the only reason, really, when you look at it, is because they can't get the money elsewhere. And that's football. That's what I think. Right, let's get on with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's comments. So, fitness updates for Crystal Palace. Cavani has trained and he should travel with the team for the match tomorrow night. So that's good. Further injury updates. Pogba has not been training with the team yet, so there's no chance he'll travel with the team to London. I wouldn't expect him to be involved in the derby either. Maybe there's a little bit of hope there, but you know what? One thing I would say about Pogba and Manchester United and injury is we're rubbish, absolutely rubbish at giving a clear clarity on when he's going to be back. You remember when he was injured last season and it seemed to go week to week to week to week, and we never knew how long he was going to be out for. We're really bad at giving updates on Paul Pogba's injury. So from what Ollie said, he's not trained with the team yet, but we've seen pictures of him at Carrington. He's not trained with the first team yet, so he's not going to be involved in the Palace game, obviously, but that doesn't sound like he'll be involved in the Man City game. But has he got a chance of being involved in the Milan or West Ham game, or is he going to be out until the international break? Well, I think Pogba will be back for the international break because he loves going to play with France. I've got no problem with that. He's French. He loves playing with the French national team, so I think he will be back. When he will be back, well, you look at the next few games, as I said. Man City at the weekend, probably too soon. Then you've got Milan, West Ham, Milan, Leicester in the Cup before the international break. So he should be back for one of those. But when it's going to be is a little bit unclear. He also told us that Phil Jones has had a couple of setbacks. It's a knee injury. They hope to have him back before the end of the season. And hopefully, but he should be back for the start of next season. So Phil Jones is out for the season. Oh no. Anyway, but realistically, I mean, I don't really know what to say without being unkind about that. He literally has been out a year now. He was fit just before lockdown, which was March, and he never came back. He went into lockdown and got a knee injury. So I really do think if we hadn't given him the stupidest 5-year contract in the world, we would be paying him off. Like, Phil Jones is going to be back for the start of next season. I mean, literally, cockroach surviving a nuclear war comes to mind again. He would survive anything, that guy. But he survives it because we put him on a stupid bloody contract in the first place. There is no future with this lad at Manchester United. He is broken. Forget his. I mean, I'm not even talking about what he's like as a player. I mean, that's a completely separate book. But his injury record is ridiculous. He needs retiring. He should go off. At work, when I used to work in the police, if somebody got really, really ill, they'd get retired on a medical pension. Like, Phil Jones needs retiring. Like, if I dread to say what would happen to him if he was an animal. Like, the reality is he is broken and he can't be fixed. So I don't know why he even gets mentioned anymore. I mean, look, I think is he like 28, 29 now? He's injured all the time. There is no point in Phil Jones getting a squad number next season. I feel bad for him. I don't want to talk about his playing ability because I feel bad for him. But as a business, this is somebody taking up a shirt and a wage. A centre-back position as well. So the club need to be decisive about this. I mean, I think we used to hope that somebody like a West Ham or a Newcastle would buy him. They're not going to be that stupid. Like, he's going to have to be retired off or paid off because he's just broken, isn't he? Has anyone seen Phil? Do we know if he's alive? Says Joshua Harper. Well, that's a good point. Has anyone actually seen any pictures of him? But yeah, it's very sad, really. As I said, I'm not going to talk about his playing ability. I think that's a separate topic. But the injuries are horrific. And to give him a 5-year contract was just stupid, wasn't it? I guarantee if somebody bothered to figure it out, he's probably been injured on this new 5-year contract, of which we're 2 years in. He's probably been injured for well over, I would guess 70%, maybe more. 70% of this new contract already he's been injured for. So what a waste of money. What a waste of money that was. Really, really poor. He was asked about the handballs against Chelsea. Mark, would you sign Koundé or Varane, says Nick. Mate, to be honest with you, I don't want to get into a one's better than the other. If I had the choice between Varane and Koundé, I would say let the United Stand Live comments decide, because I don't care who we get. Personally, I would take Varane. I would take Varane because of his experience and he ticks all the boxes of what we need. But if you want Koundé, I'm willing to go with what you want. I'd be over the moon with either of those two centre-backs. I would be like, it's a thumbs up from me. I really would. But I'll believe it when I see it with those two. But I'd be over the moon. If somebody said you're getting one of those two, I wouldn't even really... I have a preference, but I wouldn't cry if we got Koundé. I like them both. As long as Mings isn't in there, that's fine. Can we just drop Phil off at the airport, says Lewis. And I thought you were going to say, can we... No, I'm not going to say that. It's going Varane, Koundé. So Ollie was asked about the handball situation against Chelsea. He says it's water under the bridge, and we focus on Palace, which I think is the right answer. You know, we know what happened on Sunday, but we must move on. And whatever you think about the result on Sunday, if we don't beat Crystal Palace tomorrow night, it will be a farce. You know, we have to beat Palace tomorrow night. They've got so many injury problems. They don't even want to play this game. Roy Hodgson's like, why are we having to play this game? Because the way it's worked out for Palace is that this game has been rearranged because of our FA Cup game against Leicester. But Hodgson's like, well, we're out of the FA Cup, and then there's an international break. We've got 3 weeks off now. We don't need it. We don't need 3 games in a week. So Palace aren't very happy, and they've got a lot of injuries. He was also asked about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. This was quite an interesting question about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Should he be going to the Euros? And Ollie said, well, I'm not here to do Gareth Southgate's job, which is a shame because you could probably do it better. But he said... I'm very pleased with both my fullbacks and the development that they've made, which is interesting because every time he gets asked about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he always brings in Luke Shaw, which I think is done deliberately to sort of try instantly kill off any negativity around Aaron Wan-Bissaka by using the positivity of Luke Shaw. And I remember him saying a few weeks ago, and remember, Luke Shaw's a couple of years older than Wan-Bissaka, so by the time Wan-Bissaka's at Luke Shaw's age, I'd expect him to be at that level. It's very clever by Solskjaer, and I think I've said this before, the way he's growing into the job in relation to how he deals with the media compared to 18 months ago is totally different. It's night and day. My honest assessment of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and it was mentioned yesterday that if he doesn't get called up for England in the next international break, he will be he's going to go and play for, I think it's Congo, is it? So I've got to be honest on this. I don't think Southgate's going to pick him, and if I was picking 3 right backs, I'd pick Wan-Bissaka. But if I'm picking 2, I wouldn't pick Wan-Bissaka. I wouldn't pick Wan-Bissaka as an England right back because I don't think he offers enough going forward. I'm very happy with him at Manchester United, and I wouldn't get rid of him for no way. I think he has got development in him, but I think that's the problem for me. He's got it's Democratic Republic of Congo. Thank you, panel. I think Wan-Bissaka's nowhere near Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw is the best left back in the league at the moment. He even surpasses Robertson, who's dropped off a bit. But I don't think Wan-Bissaka's doing that on the right hand side. I think he's had a very up and down season. I think at times he's been brilliant, and at times he's been not so good. Obviously, his positional sense is a concern, and going forward, he's a bit hit and miss. But he is getting better. But I just feel that Wan-Bissaka wanting to be England's right back isn't probably the time, in my opinion. I don't think he's England's best right back, and I don't think he should think he's England's best right back. I think Luke Shaw can be England's best left back if he wants to be. But I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka needs to focus on his consistency at Manchester United. I think this season has been a bit hit and miss. I remember this time last year, just before we went into lockdown, with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I was saying he's player of the year. He was from the minute we signed him from Palace to about this time last year. It's hard. People forget this, but Wan-Bissaka was going to be my player of the year and a lot of yours. He played brilliant from the minute we signed him up until lockdown. He was brilliant. Came out of lockdown and started to be a bit all over the place. And this season it's been better, but still a bit inconsistent. So I don't think Wan-Bissaka's playing as well as he can. And I think he has lost something somewhere. And I think he needs to focus on that. And then he will probably get his England place. But I think at the moment, to think you're the best England fullback in England, I don't think he is. And I think he needs... I think, for me, I really do like Wan-Bissaka, but I think he's got to get back to the form he had a year ago. And focus on Manchester United. Don't be worrying about what national team you're going to play for. Focus on Manchester United, because there are fans in our fan base who are talking about right backs coming in who should be pushing him out the team, not understudying, actually being the first choice right back, which I think is ridiculous. I think he can be our first choice right back and should be, but I think there are gears for Aaron to go through around consistency, being better going forward, and positionally a little bit better as well. And then I think you probably will be England's best right back. So I wouldn't give up on England just because you don't get called up into this squad. I think at the moment I don't see you as the best right back in England, but I think he can be. Would you rather Varane and Jones or Maguire and Vic, says Ben Goss? Well, that's ridiculous, Ben. I mean, Phil Jones we don't even remember what Phil Jones is like as a footballer anymore now, do we? We really don't. We need 2 Wan-Bissakas, says Addy, and Trippier offers going forward and defensively, says Tom Shepherd. Aaron Wan-Bissaka development is halted by Magaluf, says Tiago. And Mark, what do you think will happen to Greenwood, Diallo and Perestri if we sign Sancho, says Roy Keane 08. I don't know what's going to happen with Sancho. I really can't give you the honest answer on that one. I don't know what's going to happen on Sancho. Ihab, thanks. He says, like, share and subscribe. Yes, please smash a like on the video. And more importantly, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. Bottom right hand corner. We're getting closer and closer to 1 million. So we could hit 1 million for the Manchester Derby, which would be amazing, because I think it would be so nice to hit 1 million subscribers on the Manchester Derby. But please, Ollie, don't lose. It would be brilliant to hit 1 million subscribers on Sunday on the Manchester Derby and Manchester United to win. That would be an all-round great day. So please subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. What do you think of Konza at Villa, says Lewis? Well, I think he's better than Mings, but I'll leave it at that. What else did Ollie spoke about? He was asked if the team had felt the pressure this season, having been top in January and then, really blowing it against Sheffield United, and then a bit of inconsistency since then. And he said, no, there's no pressure. It's just a really strange year. We're still in the Europa League. We're still in the FA Cup. We got to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup and we're second in the league. So there's no pressure. We're having a good season, but it's a strange year. I don't think Ollie's wrong about that. I don't think he's wrong about that. I don't think we're under pressure. I just think we're not equipped. I think, I know what I want to say on this. I don't think Man United have bottled it under pressure. I don't think the pressure's there. I just think I don't think we're good enough yet. We bottled it because we're not good enough. We weren't good enough to beat Sheffield United. At times we're not good enough to go and beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge or Liverpool at Anfield. And Liverpool at Anfield were there for the taking. At the time I said it was a really good point. A lot of you said, nah, we should have won that game. And I was like, look, Liverpool haven't lost at home in 3 years. 0-0 at Anfield, and we nearly could have won it. I think that's a good result. I didn't realise that Brighton and Burnley were going to go and beat them a few weeks later, and actually I look at it now and go, realistically, we should have beat them as well. If Brighton and Burnley are beating them, we should have beat them. So we're not equipped at the moment to be top of the league, and we're not equipped not to bottle it against Sheffield United. We'll still bottle a game this season. There will be one result this season between now and the end of the season, which is another Sheffield United, where we go, how have we lost that game? I mean, hopefully it won't be tomorrow night, but we will have at least one more of those results, because this team is not ready. So you can't say that this team isn't ready and then not have another bad result like Sheffield United. We will keep having those every now and again. The progression is there. We are improving, but I think we're very, very fast approaching the ceiling of this team. We may have already hit it. The ceiling of this team is second place, I think, in my opinion, and I think Ollie's done a good job to get there, but we've got to improve. We need a centre-back, we need a centre defensive midfielder, we need a right winger, we need a backup right back, and we probably need another forward at some point, but I don't think that's as important as the positions I've identified there. So I don't think there is pressure. I agree with Ollie. I don't think the team's under pressure. I just don't think the team's equipped. I think it's ill-equipped. I think there are still holes in that team, and sometimes when you've got those holes, you sink in a match, and we'd still do so. I mean, look, Talk about Chelsea. Watch that Newcastle game for the first hour. Tell me who's the better team for the vast majority, and it's Newcastle, who are fourth from bottom. So we are capable of beating anybody, as we know, but we're also capable of losing to anybody and getting played off the park by anybody at times. We are still very much a work in progress, and a work in progress needs improvement in the coaching. Of course it does, but it also needs improvement in the personnel. And I think that if the club do not provide Ollie with the players that he needs in the summer, then this ceiling's hit, and the only way is down, rebound. Wonder Madrid would swap Varane with Van der Beek plus cash, says Stephen Swift. I mean, that would really sadden me if Van der Beek was to leave as part of any deal with Real Madrid, because he's just not been given a run out. I was thinking about Van der Beek the other day, and I was like, I would love to know. I would love to run a poll of Man United players and just find out what Donny van der Beek is like in training. Is he worse than Fred? Is he worse than McTominay and Matic? Is this why he's not being picked, or is he good? Because we don't get enough evidence. He doesn't get picked enough by the first team. I think when he's been playing for the first team, he's done pretty well. But what's he like in training? Is he crap? Is he crap in training, or is he better than everybody in training and just doesn't get a chance? I'd love to know what the perception of Donny van der Beek is amongst his peers and what he's actually training like. I'd love to watch a training session with Manchester United and just see how good he is compared to people like Bruno and etc. Because if he's good in training, then it's even more baffling. But if he's, what if he's not? Our team is ready. It's only Ollie who set up his team the wrong way and so stubborn with his favourites that we can't see the real Man United play, says Tariq. This team's not ready, Tariq, in my opinion. Ready for what? It's not ready to topple Man City. I don't care what your tactics are. I don't think it's ready to beat Man City. Nobody passes Donny van der Beek in situations, says Mode, and we need his intelligence, says Carter. Mark, have you heard about... no, I haven't, Salish. Would Dortmund do a Pulisic with Haaland for 80 million, says Duncan. Would Dortmund do a Pulisic with Haaland for 80 million? I don't know what a Pulisic is. And I know they sold him to Chelsea. And Donny is not good enough, says Paul. Well, that statement doesn't mean anything, does it? Because Paul says Donny's not good enough. Based on what? You don't watch training, so you can't give the answer to the question I'm answering. And I think when he has played, he's played very well. I think he should be given more opportunity. John says you're not going to get Haaland. Well, I don't think we will get Haaland. And don't think Ollie has ever seen Donny play, says Shad. He was also asked about what players have surprised him this year, which I think is an impossible question for Ollie to answer, because, it's like if he says, ooh, you know what? I'm trying to think who would surprise him this year. Fred's really surprised me this season. He's playing really well. I always thought he was shit. So, it's hard for him to say such and such surprised me. But he said, I have been impressed by the players in general. They've handled the situation really well. They've not seen any friends. They've not socialised. It's relentless football. It's the strangest year of our lives. And I'm really impressed with how they've handled it, which I agree. I think it's great how the players have handled it. They have had to play a lot of football. Some of them are very young, and people will say, well, they're privileged, they've got loads of money. But, if you're an 18, 19-year-old lad, whether you're a professional footballer or not, when you can't interact with your mates and, get out there and do what young lads do easily, it is quite restrictive, whether you're one of United's players or not. So I think it's been impactful. But where I'm going with this is, Ollie being impressed with how his players have handled it, etc., etc. That is absolutely fine, but that's got nothing to do with why. That's got nothing to do with football. Manchester City have had the same. Everybody's had the same. You've all had the same. We've all had to deal with this situation where we're not socialising, we can't do this, that, and the other. So, being impressed by professionals doing their job is absolutely fine when you're the manager of the team. But ultimately, I don't see what relevance that's got to do with performance on the pitch. Everybody's in the same boat, and being impressed with how the players have handled themselves off the pitch, well, that's absolutely fine. That's down to the manager, of course it is. But I would rather be impressed by what we're doing on the pitch. And I think some players this season have been very impressive. I think some people have been very restricted. And I think some people haven't had enough game time. And I think some people have been overused. And I think there is favouritism in that squad, as many of you said. Some people get picked through no other reason than favouritism. I think that we've established that, and I suppose I am talking about the midfield too, but I'm definitely talking about the centre-back pairing as well. So again, I just think that we wander into these conversations too much, where we're impressed by the attitude, we're impressed by how they run around, we're impressed by putting a shift in, and I just think we need to move past this as a football club. I think we need to be impressed by talent. We need to be impressed by trophies. We need to be impressed by title challenges. We need to be impressed by playing off the park a team who is a traditional top 6 team. That's what's impressive. The fact that the players have been, in the difficult situation, relentlessly playing football, not being able to socialise and go to the cinema and everything like that, it is impressive. But everybody's been through that. We're a football club. I want to be impressed by what we're doing on the football pitch, and I have been impressed this season. I'm sure many of you have. There's many things that have impressed me this season, individually and collectively. I think PSG away was fantastic. Everton away in the Carabao Cup for half an hour was fantastic. And there's been a few other good performances, but I want to be impressed by the result on the performance on Sunday. I want to be impressed by the results at Anfield. I want to be impressed by the games we play against Man City. And that's where I want to be impressed. So when the question is asked, what players have surprised you this year, I want that to be talking about their footballing ability, not what they're doing off the pitch, which is what everyone else is doing. Even though it's absolutely fine. I'm not digging Ollie out for saying that. But I think we are, in a footballing sense, we're talking about, I spoke about it last night, putting a shift in, attitude. I want to be impressed by talent. I want to be impressed by performance. That's what I want to be impressed by, not putting a shift in, not attitude, because those things should be ingrained into a player before they even step into Carrington. They should know at Manchester United, these principles should be taken for granted. That you put a shift in and that you've got the right attitude. That should be taken for granted at a club like Manchester United. It shouldn't be an impressive point. Oh, he puts a shift in. Oh, he's got a good attitude. Well, I would demand that that's what a Manchester United player should be, because that's what a Manchester United player used to be. I remember Man United playing Wimbledon, when Wimbledon used to kick you around the park. Then I would be impressed with Manchester United's attitude and work rate, because they could fight against the toughest team in the league, but also beat them with the talent that they had as well. But the core principle was that you would always expect talent from a Manchester United player, because you would already expect the work rate and the attitude. I think over the last few years, going back to Mourinho, Van Gaal as well, we've learned to really champion work rates, which is a scary thing. I saw people at the weekend against Chelsea who were being lauded in the live comments because they basically put a shift in. I think it's scary how that has now become a good performance because you put a shift in, when it used to be standard. Putting a shift in never used to really get mentioned 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We didn't used to talk about people putting a shift in. No, we didn't, because we used to be looking at how good a player actually was. Should the players we have now play better football, says Salah Ahmed. Wow, that's such a big question. Such a big question, isn't it? It is such a difficult question. Because better football means you get better football with better players, but you also get a better football if you play in a more expansive way. Pulisic equals pay less now and Dortmund hold for 1 more year, says Duncan. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't think that would happen. I don't know. Matty says, but at one point in the game you said you were so impressed with how much Bruno was running double standards. No, Matty, that's... it's a shame I've been drawn to such a knobhead comment there, because really it's a troll. Because I did say at one point in the game Bruno's running around was impressive, but I know exactly what moment it was. It was in the second half, and Bruno ran from the centre, from the CDM to the centre back to their left back, sprinted about in 5 seconds. He went 1, 2, 3, and what I said was, that's really impressive, the amount of work he's putting in. But then I said, why is he going from the CDM to the forward to the right back? Are we not a team? Why isn't it? What he shouldn't have to do that, because if everyone else is doing that, Bruno doesn't need to go to 3 positions. So I was talking about it was impressive how much work he was putting in on that press. What did I say after the game? I gave him 5 out of 10. Below average, because I said I cannot give Bruno a good score, player rating wise, for running around. So you're the idiot, because I've just explained exactly what happened, and I know what exactly the moment you're talking about. I will not give a player even an average 6 just for running around. You've got to do more than that in a United shirt. Of course you have. Yeah, definitely. Have you seen Pogba's new look? The caption says this. And if we win the FA Cup and the Europa League but finish 4th or 5th, will you take it? If we finish 4th and we win the Europa League and the FA Cup, I'd be very happy. The only problem with winning the Europa League is you never know until the very end of the season. So I would like to know that we're in top 4. I don't think losing top 4 from this situation is acceptable. It could happen, but I don't think it's acceptable. I would rather win the Europa League than get top 4, but in that's idealistic world. The reality is to drop out the top 4 and have to go into that Europa League final, as we did with Mourinho against Ajax. It's very nervy. So I don't think that is ideal. I'd like to get top 4 and win it. Do I think Donny will start tomorrow, Tanya? No. I don't think we'll see Donny playing at all in the next couple of games. Maybe 10 minutes against Palace, but I just don't think he's going to use him. I don't think he will use him. I think Matic will start against Palace, and I think Donny won't get used. Will Diallo get game time, says Brandon Smith. At the moment, I don't think there's much chance of Diallo getting game time either, because Cavani will be back. You've got Martial probably on the bench, and Dan James or Greenwood will have to be on the bench as well, because if he plays Cavani and Rashford, he can only pick one of James, Martial and Greenwood. So though 2 of them will go on the bench, Diallo will come off the bench. So I'm not convinced Diallo will even be on the bench, to be honest. So I don't think Diallo will get much game time either. Didn't Donny score against Palace in the last fixture, says Reese. And what were the key points in the press conference? Only tuned in now. Jake, well, I've covered them all. I'm not going to go back through them again. If Ollie used Bay instead of Lindelof, Van der Beek instead of McTominay, and Martial instead of James, we would have won against Chelsea, says Varun. So key points were Pogba is not training yet. Phil Jones is probably out for the season. Cavani did train and he should travel. And that was pretty much it, really, because there's an embargoed bit. I think Ollie sees something about Donny that we can't, says Kyrgios. Well, I wish he'd use him. And do you think Maguire is a good centre-back, truly? Yes, I think that Manchester United love Harry Maguire. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer loves Harry Maguire. I think Harry Maguire will be the captain of Manchester United for a long time under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think people need to realise that whoever we buy will play with Harry Maguire. Whether it should be Lindelof, whether it should be Bay is finished at Man United. He's the best centre-back we've got, just like I think Smalling was better than Maguire and Lindelof, but he's on his way out because he can't get a game. Everybody knows that the best centre-back pairing we've got is Eric Bailly and either Maguire or Lindelof, but he still goes with Maguire and Lindelof. He loves Maguire. It's his captain. He stood by him in the summer. He spent £80 million on him. He will. I said this a few weeks ago. He will fall on his sword. Ollie will fall on his sword with Harry Maguire. Hopefully he won't, but what that means is he will go down with Harry Maguire. Like, if Harry Maguire doesn't work out, Solskjaer will stick by him and he'll sink with him. So it has to work. So it has to be Harry Maguire and a new centre-back. That's the way it's going to be, whether we like it or not. I personally think Harry Maguire is a good centre-back, but I think he needs a better centre-back with him. He cannot be the dominant centre-back. He's not the leader. He's not the best centre-back. Harry Maguire needs a better centre-back than him. And for England, John Stones is better than him, so that'll be a better centre-back pairing. Manchester United cannot have Lindelof next to Maguire. It's got to be. Varane would be perfect because Varane is better than Maguire. So I think that would work. The problem is, where we got it wrong with Maguire, it's not that he's not a good centre-back, it's just that we bought a player we thought was Koulibaly or Varane or Ramos or Van Dijk, and he's not. He's a £40 to £50 million centre-back, and he's not the best centre-back in a top 4 team. Maguire with Van Dijk works. Maguire with Varane works. Maguire is the best centre-back? No, it doesn't work. And that's where we got it wrong. We thought we were getting a Van Dijk. What we actually got was a £50 million centre-back. We need a quality We need a better centre-back than Maguire, and then I think it'll work better. If Ollie gets a new contract, Gustav, won't that be a big reason to back him in the summer? The board would expose themselves big time if they had to sack him. And Aidan Sen says, why does Ollie play Scott and Fred instead of an experienced Champions League semi-final player like Donny van der Beek, says Aidan 10. Well, I don't think he trusts him in the pivot, which is weird, because the only reason he trusts McTominay in the pivot is because of his physicality. Because McTominay is not a centre defensive midfielder, and this is something we brush over all the time. He's not a centre defensive midfielder, and neither's Fred, to be honest. But Fred is quite tenacious, because Donny van der Beek's not going to be tenacious. Donny van der Beek is a footballer. Fred is tenacious. He's not really a footballer in the sense that his passing and shooting is poor. So Fred gets picked in CDM for his tenacity, and Scott McTominay gets picked in CDM because of his physicality. But in relation to tackling and everything like that, McTominay's more of a Van der Beek player, really. McTominay does his best things on the edge of the box, like Donny does, but he picks McTominay because of his physicality. But McTominay's no better CDM than Donny van der Beek, really. He's just more physical. So, and I think that's what, and he's taller. Donny looked like a different player when he first joined before he became victim of Ollie favouritism. His first few games were brilliant and Ollie ruined him, says Nathan. I might be wrong, but didn't Southgate say he won't pick Kyle Walker again after the lockdown party incident? Would that open a spot for Wan-Bissaka, says Demon? Just depends how many fullbacks he picks. Mark, I used to football train with Steve Round's son, and he said in 2014 that Phil Jones was finished because of arthritis in his knees, says Luke's King. Well, yeah, maybe we've just given him a contract to be nice. I don't know. We need to cash in on Dan James. Leeds are desperate for him. This time is right for making a profit, says Varun. Well, there you go. Anyway, that's been a really long show. 45-minute show on a press conference reaction. What have we been talking about, everyone? What have we been talking about? Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. I am live doing FIFA career mode in half an hour on Mark Goldbridge That's Football if you want to continue the chat on there. I've got some bloody ironing to do. I've left myself half an hour. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all in a bit. Smash a like on the video and please subscribe. Bottom right hand corner. Keep it ticking on towards that million. We're going to try and hit it for the Manchester Derby. Bottom right hand corner to subscribe. Smash a like on the video and I'll speak to you all in a bit. And don't forget to download the OneFootball app. The link's in the video description. The Kalanoglu story's on there. There's loads of transfer news on there today, so give it a download. Links in the video description. And you can watch Dortmund for free on there tomorrow.